Hello and welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV. This is the last word of Crystal Palace 1, Newcastle 1.
Newcastle Fans TV.
Yes, welcome back to the last word. We're outside Selhurst Park where Crystal Palace and Newcastle have drawn 1-1, but that's not even the start of what we and Lee have got to go through this afternoon. Graeme Jones chose his first Newcastle 11, and there was a couple of notable changes. Emil Kraft and Ryan Fraser in particular. No Joe Willock in the starting 11 at all for Newcastle United. What did you make of it, Lee?
Massively surprised. We couldn't work it out. Was he playing 4 at the back? Was he playing wing backs? And there's been a lot of people on the bench who probably we wouldn't see it normally, because Joe Litton's been starting a lot. Almiron starts a lot. I know he's been quarantining, and then there was Willock who was also on the bench as well, and John Joe Shelby suspended today. So the term of the lineup, it was a surprise considering what we've been used to under Bruce.
Crystal Palace had no Wilfred Zaha to start. He came on later on in the second half, but I was quite surprised in that because he seems to be Crystal Palace's main man, especially for the last few years. First half, Lee, it was quite poor actually from both sides, but Palace had one massive opportunity from Christian Benteke 6 yards out. He shouldn't miss the target, but hits the post and Darlow saves the rebound, and Newcastle got away with them massively there.
We did, but do you know what? That first half, Palace deserved to actually go ahead and battle. It was like an hour went into the half-time level, but it was like they hammered us. And now we only had one chance fairly early on where it went wide, but we were outplayed. We had no ball carrier in centre midfield. They kept coming down our right-hand side. I was really worried, so I couldn't barely see it, because the view in Selhurst Park is atrocious.
It's really poor, actually. It's really
shocking.
Poor.
It's one of the worst stadiums in the Premier League. There's a thumbs down off a Palace fan. But I thought they deserved to go in front at half-time.
Yeah, I think possession-wise, Crystal Palace dominated possession. Newcastle couldn't really get out their own half for large spells in the first half, and I do take Lee's point. If anybody deserved to go in leading the game, Crystal Palace certainly did. Second half, no changes made, but it was pretty much the same sort of stuff until Crystal Palace scored. And it's a really poor goal, wasn't it? And you can pick out holes in the midfield, but I think defensively that's got to be dealt with so much better. Christian Benteke is a massive threat in the air. Doesn't matter.
Hasn't he won the most headers in the whole Premier League duels, like on average per 90?
Yeah, and you could tell that our centre halves in particular. I thought Kieran Clark couldn't really deal with them, to be honest with you. I thought Crystal Palace actually had a really a good start in the second half, and Benteke took his goal really well.
But it all starts with Sean giving the ball away, and then it comes down to our right side, and it's just a little, like a dink cross, isn't it? And there he is, head to home. Great. He's brilliant in the end. We'll obviously talk about his disallowed goal, but 1-0 doing, we thought we were going to get beat, because I thought we're not coming back from this.
The defending again, it doesn't matter if it's Steve Bruce, Graeme Jones.
He's unmarked. Well, he's even the disallowed goal.
So poor. It's so poor. Newcastle have got to defend better, because there's a big chance Romelu Lukaku is going to be playing for Chelsea next week against Newcastle, and he's about 10 times better easily than Christian Benteke, so Newcastle are going to have to deal with him. Newcastle didn't make any changes, but they managed to equalise, and to be honest with you, I don't know how we managed it, because we never looked like scoring all day, if we're being honest. And Callum Wilson has been so important to Newcastle United since he's been here, and he's won us a point today with that unbelievable goal, overhead kick in the box after Crystal Palace couldn't really deal with it. I think Sean Longstaff heads it towards Wilson, if I'm wrong, do tell us in the comments, but Newcastle managed to get that equaliser, and Callum Wilson scored an absolutely fantastic goal, and that is why we're coming away with a point today.
It is Boyle Sports, where we push their promotions, our sponsor, so big thank you to Boyle Sports. They predicted that Wilson would score today, because he's got a great record scoring against Crystal Palace. So any of you who followed that up, you just won yourself some money, because he always loves a goal against Palace. But I actually generally thought, I was saying to Johnny, I've only just literally phoned you 5 minutes ago, I thought it was a header. That's how bad the view is. It really is atrocious, the view, but seeing it back on his phone, and it's an overhead kick, and it's a great finish, and that's something. That's his 3rd in 4 games, or 4 and 5 games in overall this season. So we didn't deserve it. Then the crowd changed. The crowd were going wild. They were back on top, and then obviously you'll talk about the coming towards the end of the game.
Yeah, Newcastle made 2 changes, or Graeme Jones made 2 changes. Almiron and Willock getting the goals. The changes made, and Sean Longstaff, who Lee says was probably at fault really for the first goal, and Ryan Fraser. If you're going to play Ryan Fraser, don't play him as a number 8. You're not going to utilise him at any sort of way.
Play him out wide.
That was really, it was great to see him in the starting 11, but you're going to have to play him as a winger if you're going to get the best out of Ryan Fraser. But anyway, that's my little rant over on that one. Yeah, changes were made. I thought it looked a bit more steady in the midfield with Almiron and Willock as a 3. And obviously I think maybe that could be the way forward next week with ASM and Wilson up top in a 5-3-2 potentially. But the big moment of the game, and what Crystal Palace fans will be talking about, I'm sure Patrick Vieira will be having a moment about in his post-match press conference, was Crystal Palace's disallowed goal. Corner on the right-hand side, well, right in front of us really. Floated in the box, Benteke, bang, bullet header, free-headed, bullet header.
We thought that was it, didn't we? We thought that was it. Game hour. Well, curse continues at this ground because we've got an awful record here. I think the last time we won was in the League Cup, I think, off the top of my head.
Yeah, I can remember being here when Kabay and Ben Arthur, do you remember them? Kabay and Ben Arthur.
That was over a decade ago now.
Yeah, remember them.
But very, very lucky, I thought.
Do you think it's a foul? Because we've seen maybe one or two replays, haven't we?
On a small screen, but obviously when I get back to the hotel, then I'll say it back, and I might have a different opinion on it. But right now, it looks pretty. If that's for me, if that's our goal, I'll be thinking, fuck off, man, that's soft. So I'll be quite disappointed if I'm an Eagles fan tonight.
But to be fair though, Lee, we've seen so many VAR decisions go against us this season. We're bound to have one. And to be honest, in the corner of my eye, I could see Lascelles and Clark in particular. We're whinging about something.
So we're being asked to move, Karen.
Yeah, sorry. We're moving on. We're moving on. Moving on up. Remember that? That was used to get played. We'll just do it, yeah. So as we've been moved along.
M people. NFTV people.
NFTV people, there we go. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, it's about time that we got a decision from VAR, and Newcastle did get away with one. It was a very, very soft foul by Guaita, or Guaita, I don't know how you pronounce it. It's really poor how you pronounce it, my pronunciation on that one. But Crystal Palace weren't very happy. The referee went over and had a little look and decided, yep, that's a foul. It's very soft, but Newcastle have managed to get away with it. But to be honest with you, Lee, after that, the only team that really looked like potentially could nick something when Newcastle could have nicked all 3 points.
Yeah, the last 5-6 minutes we looked the better team. Woohoo! Yeah. But going back earlier on, the subs, I think that we did look better. I think Palace probably should have went on to win the game, but we did look a little bit better with those double change. But yeah, the last 5-6 minutes, you could argue that if I had a clear-cut chance fall to Wilson, or we might have scored. I just want to point out, I thought ASM was really poor today.
He was. He's
allowed a poor game because, let's face it, 9 out of 10 the world-class performances. I maybe go over-exaggerating.
I thought Miggy was good when he came on. I thought he was running towards. I thought he had the better Joel Ward, maybe because he was tired. But yeah, Newcastle managed to get a point away from home. Let's hear from Newcastle's interim manager, Graeme Jones.
Pleased to get something out of it. I thought we deserved that. I think we're organisation, our understanding and mentality. I think we deserve to get something from the game, Tony. It's far from where I want to be, on the ball in particular. I thought on the turnover, first pass could have been better at times, but it was a solid place to start from, and we're looking to build and improve for as long as I'm doing this. Yeah, and it came from our own free kick, so you're in control of that moment. We didn't really have any direction from it, which you can't control everything in football. We had numerous opportunities to clear it, which is disappointing. It's the only mistake we've made in the game. I think Christian had a header first half. But that's Christian's profile. That's why he's been a Premier League and international footballer, because he pulls on the back shoulder and he's a threat. He's a real handful, you know. So overall, I'm really pleased. I think it was a solid performance, particularly off the ball. On the ball, I'd like to be better moving forward. But that won't come over.
So that was Graeme Jones' reaction to Newcastle.
Graeme Jones' reaction?
It's weird saying that, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
Getting a point away from home.
Just to point out, I love the fact that Graeme Jones came across to the fans like, "Ugh!" And that's a point.
Have you been impressed with him so far?
From what he said in the pre-match, yes, today, that looked like a Bruce performance.
For large spells, it was a Bruce performance. That's not beat around the bush.
But I like the fact that he came over and like, yeah, get him, I got a point, you know.
Definitely. Looking at the results, wow. Mainly, we're absolutely gobsmacked when we've seen some of the results. Watford beating Everton by 5-2. Southampton and Burnley drawing. Leeds and Wolves drawing. So on the whole, Lee, it's not too bad apart from Watford winning. So it still leaves us in the bottom 3. Still leaves us 19th. And we're still 3 points behind Leeds. And we're still the same points behind Crystal Palace. I think we're 4 points behind Southampton. So it's as we were, really.
It's a point gained. 100%. We didn't deserve to come away from a point today, so looking at it overall, you give us a point after that, I'll take it. although we still haven't won in 10 games in the League and Cup now, this is a point gained because I thought Palace and large spells were much better. The relegation scrap, it's still very tight, it's very early on. We need a manager through the door. I know Graeme Jones is going to have probably the Chelsea game, which he has said, but the quicker they can get a manager and a leader, can only be benefit, because then they can work on transfer targets, because the clocks go back next weekend. The games are going to come thick and fast come November, December. Next thing you know, we've played 20 games and then there's transfers coming in. So the quicker the manager, the better for me.
It's a good point about the manager, because at the minute, Paulo Fonseca, according to Boyle Sports, is still the favourite to take over. They've said that Graeme Jones said in his pre-match press conference yesterday that he will be in charge of the Crystal Palace game and the Chelsea game. But do we need at least to have been confirmed pretty much when the Chelsea game comes around?
The Chelsea game comes around, is in the stands, because the players will have to impress the manager, and you know what, that'll lift the fans. So yeah, he's got to be, I think, appointed before the Chelsea game. Even though if he doesn't take the Chelsea game, it lifts the players, it lifts the crowd.
Do we still think that Fonseca will be the man, Lee, to take over at Newcastle?
It's a tough one, because he's never managed in the Premier League, but he's managed in Serie A, he's managed in Shakhtar Donetsk, he's managed in the Premier League.
Would you have him right? Would you have him at Newcastle?
I would have 95% of managers ahead of Steve Bruce.
But would you have Fonseca?
Not my personal pick, mine will be Wenger. Even if he's not a manager, I would like him to have a sporting director role or something, because what he changed at Arsenal, it made Arsenal a powerhouse. I know it was failure towards the end, but look where Arsenal are now. They're not the same club. I would like to see Wenger have some part, but if you
Is that realistic?
Why not? He works with the Saudis. We've got money. Why not? If you're a sensible one, you would probably say an Eddie Howe at the end of the season, or a Brendan Rodgers. Can you persuade Brendan Rodgers? I know he's got a big buyout clause, but we could speculate all day, couldn't we?
We could speculate all day, but that's your
job in the comments.
Exactly, because we are finished outside here and we've got trains to catch, and you've got a nice little family fun day tomorrow by the sound of it in London, a little tourist again. So I think this is where we'll wrap things up. Get your comments in. Who do you think Newcastle's man of the match was? How important is Callum Wilson to Newcastle? Because he is just born to score goals for Newcastle. And who do you want as the new manager of Newcastle? Do you agree with Lee, Arsene Wenger? Or would you like somebody else? And do they need to be announced for the Chelsea game next Saturday? Like and subscribe to Newcastle Fans TV, and we'll see you all very soon.